Alright, we should need to start off by doing a little review from finding the volume of prisms and cylinders. As you remember, the formula that we used is that the volume is equal to the area of the base times the height. So whenever you're looking at one of those polyhedra, you need to look and see what the base is, what shape or what polygon is on the base. Is it a triangle? Is it a square? Is it a rectangle? Or whatever other shape it might be. You need to find the area of that and then multiply it times the height. Alright, let's do a couple of examples of that. Okay, let's start off with doing the volume of a cylinder. Remember, a cylinder is a prism that has a circle as the top base and another circle as the bottom base. So if we have a cylinder with a radius of 10 inches, my goodness, I'm having difficulty today. We got 10 inches here and a height of 25 inches. We need to use our formula first. Remember, we always start with a formula. So we use our formula, volume equals area of base times height. So the first thing you have to remember is, what's the formula for area of base? So V equals area of the base. Area of a circle is pi r squared, and then we multiply it times the height. So let's go ahead and fill in the numbers here. Volume equals pi, which is 3.14, times the radius squared. The radius is 10, 10 squared is 100, and then times the height, and the height is 25. If you punch all that in your calculator, you will get 7,850 inches cubed. That's the other thing we need to remember about volume is when we are labeling our answers, make sure that you use units cubed. Make sure you have that little 3 after the inches or the meters or the centimeters, whatever your units is there. Okay, so that's finding volume of a cylinder. Let's do a prism real quick as a review also. We'll do a cube, which remember is squares all around. So if we have a cube and each of the sides measures 12 centimeters, we start out with that same formula, volume equals area of the base. So area of the base is a square. The base is a square. So area of a square is length times width. And then we multiply times height. Fill in your numbers. And then go ahead and solve it. And you will get 1,728 centimeters, and again, make sure that your units are cubed. Okay, now that's review. That's what we did previously with volume. Today, we're going to start working with volumes of pyramids and cones. Now, if you think about what a pyramid and a cone looks like, they don't have two bases. They only have one base. So when you're working with them, it's kind of like you're taking a chunk out of a prism. All right? If you actually look in your book on page 188, there's pictures that show you of how that's taking a piece of the chunk out. So when we find the volume of a pyramid or cone, we're going to use this formula right here. Volume equals 1/3 times area of the base times height. Now again, we're looking at area of the base. So we always have to look at the base, see what polygon it is, and then go from there to use the proper formula to be able to find our answer. So let's try doing a cone. Remember, a cone has a circle for a base. It's not a very good looking cone, but we'll work with it. Okay, the height is always going to be at a 90-degree angle, which you're always going to know because it's going to have that little box corner. Okay, so there's our cone, and we're going to go ahead and fill in what we need. So we start off with our formula, equals volume equals 1/3 times area of the base. Now area of a circle is pi r squared. And then we're going to multiply times height. From there we need to fill in our numbers. Volume equals 1/3. Pi is 3.14. Radius, if we look over here, is 10. 10 squared is 100. And then we're going to multiply times the height, which is 6. Now remember, on your calculator you have that fraction button. So you can either use the fraction button when you push this into your calculator, or you can multiply 3.14 times 100 times 6 and then divide by 3. Either way will work. If you use your fraction button, you're probably going to get a fraction in your answer, and that's okay. So if you go ahead and punch that into your calculator, and I like to use the fraction button, so I would push 1 and then the fraction button and then 3, and then times 3.14 times 100 times 6 equals, if you punch that all in, you're going to get 628, and again you put your units and you have it cubed. So that's your answer for that one. Okay, let's try doing a pyramid. Let's do a pyramid that has a rectangle as a base. Now when I draw these, and I know you guys need some tips on drawing them, I draw my base, which is a rectangle, and then I just put a point up at the top because we know there's a point at the top of these, and then I just connect to the corners. Okay? So if I have a rectangle that's 5 inches and 4 inches, and then the height of my pyramid is 8 inches. Okay. Again, I'm going to use the same formula that I used with the cone. I'm going to use V equals 1/3, oops, that should be a 3, 1/3, and then area of the base. So area of a rectangle, remember we're not working with a circle now, we're working with a rectangle. Area of a rectangle is length times width, and then we have times height on the end. Now we can fill in our numbers. V equals 1/3, length is 5, width is 4, and our height is 8. And then again, you can punch this into your calculator. You either use that fraction button or at the end, divide by 3. And when you do that, if you use your fraction button, you'll get 53 and 1/3 inches cubed. If you use your if you divide it by 3 instead of using that fraction button, you're going to get a decimal number. Either answer is okay. Okay. Let's go ahead and switch over to some practice problems. See what we got here. And what I want you to do is I want you to attempt to do these. So go ahead and pause this, try to solve this, and then when you're finished, go back and see if you get the same answer that I get, because I'll work it out at the end. Okay, so at this point, you should have worked out the problem. All right, you should, for your formula, have V equals 1/3. Okay, and then we look at area of the base. What kind of base do we have? Well, there's only one measurement, so that tells us it's a square. So length times width times height. Then we can fill in those numbers. V equals 1/3. Length is 7.2. Width is 7.2 again. And our height is 5.3. We go ahead and punch that into the calculator, and we get 91.5. Make sure you include your label and that your label is cubed. All right, so check your work, correct what you have, and let's go on to the next one. Okay, go ahead and you work this problem out. A triangular pyramid that has a base with an area of 25 centimeters squared and a height of 10 centimeters. So go ahead and work this one out. Okay, at this point you should have that problem done and we're checking it. Alright, I always like to draw these. It helps me because I'm a visual person if I have them drawn. So it says it's a triangular pyramid, so I'm going to have a triangle on the bottom. I'm going to put a dot at the top, and then I'm going to connect my corners. Alright, and it says the area of the base is 25 centimeters squared and the height is 10 centimeters. So I'm going to go ahead and put my formula in. V equals 1/3. That's going to be area of the base times the height. Now, did you notice in the problem that they gave you base with an area? They already gave that to you, so you didn't have to find that formula and work it out. So let's fill it in. V equals 1/3. Area of the base is 25, and the height is 10. Punch that into your calculator, and you should get 83 1/3 centimeters cubed. Okay, go ahead and check your work. Alright, let's go on down to the next one. Okay, we got a cone. It's laying sideways, but it's still a cone. Go ahead and complete this one. Okay, at this point you should have the problem completed. So let's go ahead and see what we did. Alright, start off with your formula. V equals 1/3 area of a circle, because a cone has a circle on the bottom. So area of a circle is pi r squared. Okay, times the height. Fill in those numbers. V equals 1/3 times 3.14 times radius squared. Now we gotta look at our base. The radius only goes from the middle to the edge, and this line that's already there goes all the way across. So we know that we have to take half of that number. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4 is our radius, and then we need to square it. 4 times 4 is 16. And then we multiply times the height. We finish filling in our numbers. Okay, go ahead and punch that into your calculator. And you should get 167.4 centimeters cubed. Go ahead and make corrections, check yours over, and we've got one more of these to do. Okay, here's our last one. A cone that has a diameter of 3.8 feet and a height of 5.1 feet. Go ahead and solve this. Okay, at this point you should have it solved. I'm going to go ahead and draw the picture because I like pictures. I'm visual. It's a cone, so it's a circle for the base. Alright, and it tells us that the diameter is 3.8, so the diameter goes all the way across. And that should be feet. And then the height, a little right angle there, is 5.1 feet. And then I'm going to go ahead and start off with my formula. V equals 1/3. Area of a circle is pi r squared times the height. Fill in the numbers. Hang on a second here. There we go, 3.14 for pi, r squared. Let's see, 3.8 divided by 2, because 3.8 is the diameter, is 1.9, and then we have to square that. We get 3.61. 3.61 times the height, which is 5.1. Then you punch all that into your calculator, 1/3 times 3.14 times 3.61 times 5.1, and you should get 19.2 feet cubed. So the important points from today are essentially back here on this first screen where we talked about what that formula is. Use this formula. You're going to use the same formula every time, 1/3 times the area of the base times the height, but you have to remember the area of the base can change. So you have to look and see what shape you have for the base and then make sure that you use the proper formula to go in that area.